And this afternoon, I want to give everybody an update on the tragic loss of our deputy, Austin Walsh. Yesterday morning, our agency announced that we had lost Austin, a 23-year-old deputy who was killed in a tragic accident. Unfortunately for us, though, that's not where this tragedy ends, as Austin was fatally killed in an accidental shooting by his roommate, Deputy Andrew Lawson. As this afternoon, I have to stand here and talk about the loss of one of my deputies, who I love so much, as the result of the reckless actions of another one of our deputies, who I also love, and who has been a good kid his entire life. What we know at this point is that during the early morning hours on Saturday, the Palm Bay Police Department received a 911 call from off-duty deputy Andrew Lawson, who reported that he had accidentally shot his roommate and needed help. When officers from Palm Bay PD arrived, they were met by off-duty deputy Andrew Lawson, who was fully distraught and devastated.
There's Sheriff Wayne Ivey. Again, I'll let you guys know who that guy is, but he's a sheriff deputy in Florida, and he's talking about, again, as you saw that tragic story of two officers of his. One killed the other because they're roommates and buddies, and they were just hanging out. There's more about how this whole thing happened. Let's watch that.
Officers discovered off-duty deputy Austin Walsh inside the residence, where he'd apparently succumbed immediately as a result of a single gunshot wound. Lawson was fully cooperative in the investigation that revealed he and Austin had taken a break from playing an online game with a number of their friends and were just kind of standing around talking. Lawson was holding a handgun, which he believed he had unloaded, and at one point in their conversation, Lawson, thinking that the gun was unloaded, jokingly pointed the gun in Austin's direction and pulled the trigger. According to the investigation, a single round was fired that struck Austin, taking his life. Andrew immediately called 911 to summon help for Austin, but unfortunately, the single round was a fatal shot. Austin and Andrew were the best of friends, and Andrew is completely devastated over what happened. Even with that, there is no excuse for this tragic and totally avoidable death. And as a result, earlier today, Andrew Lawson was taken into custody on a no-bond warrant by agents from the Florida Department of Law Enforcement for manslaughter with a firearm.
So as you saw him say there, the officer that then shot his buddy and co-worker, best friend, I think, has been charged with manslaughter over this whole thing. A trained officer sitting with another trained officer in this guy's police department, hanging out, playing games, took a break, and decided to just toy around with a gun, like someone who's not trained in a gun safety, which I hear from a lot of folks. It's such a sad story, and these folks, the family of this guy, are gonna always have to go through this story over and over and over again. Tragically, when it happens around the holiday season, it's gonna become a reminder of that. And so in bringing this up, the tragedy of it, and I hope the family finds some way to find some kind of comfort as they go on from this, but this is the thing, man. We talk about gun safety and training, and these guys, we would assume, are the most trained. Let's make that assumption. I'll go with that. There's still this mindset that when you get that comfortable around firearms, that you may still play with them. You still may point them at your buddy. Yeah, I'm sure that's a case-by-case basis. Maybe people never do that are big on firearms. All it takes is enough people to do it to kill someone else, because it's just fun to play with a gun. We do this a lot of stuff. Everybody that drives, at some point you forget you're driving this multiple 1,000-pound vehicle and it's barreling up and down the street. So when you go on 65 miles an hour, which feels slow, you get very comfortable. Same thing with guns. There has to be this process of knowing this isn't just a toy and it ends people's lives. We think that with many things, but for some reason we want to lighten the responsibility that surrounds this thing with many folks. And this sometimes is a result, and I think it's horrific, Jeff.
Yeah, this is the utmost in tragedies that I've seen in a while, and it seems like these very respectable men who work in law enforcement and are very well trained in handling firearms. One individual was reckless, and it cost someone else their life. And what else is there to say about that? Like, it shouldn't have come to this. There's no coming back from that. And so they seem to be doing the right thing as far as justice is being concerned, and like he's put behind bars for right now. Hopefully, he will stay behind there for a very long time because of his reckless actions. I shouldn't go to this specifically, but part of me is like, when civilians are shot by police, whether it's intentional or not, I'm hoping the same justice is seen there. But yes, very tragic thing, very reckless behavior out of this young man.
Yeah, it's gonna. I wish there was that much more importance put on it. That's all, because we like to lighten how hardcore these whole things are. hope his family finds something from this. As I point out, that Wayne Ivey, that sheriff, is the same one who was standing out in front of the jail the other day talking about how they're gonna increase corporal punishment in these schools because kids are acting out, which they are. But he's gonna make it more prison-like and weaponize teachers and officers to be in these schools and go after these folks. Officers are just other folks. So you put them in schools, unleash them on kids. If you put them at home and unleash them on each other, they're just guys. So this whole thought of that they're these ultra responsive people that'll always do the right thing isn't always the case because they're humans. Just remember that when you're unleashing angry cops on people. That's all.